Welcome to A Healthy Curiosity, the podcast that explores what it takes to be well in a busy world with self-care strategies from Chinese medicine. I'm your host, Brodie Welch, here to support you on your journey of health, happiness, and personal evolution. I want to start today's show by sharing a conversation that I had with a patient, clearly an anonymous version of the conversation. I asked this person how he was doing, and he responded by saying, it's like I'm in rhythm again. It's like I used to have trouble falling asleep at night. I never knew if it was going to be days before I pooped or whether I'd be just on the toilet all morning. I felt an alternating feeling of being really tense and reactive. And on other days, I just wouldn't want to do anything. I'd be depressed and lethargic. And it's like everything's evened out now. And I've gotten off my blood pressure medication. I've gotten off my anti-anxiety medication. It's like everything happens in rhythm. I'm ready to go to sleep and I just fall asleep. My mood is really even and I'm not snapping at my wife anymore. And I get up and it's like clockwork. I go to the bathroom and it's easy. And I just really want to thank you. I smiled and said thank you and explained that this is really the work of a healthy liver. In Chinese medicine, I'm using the capital L for liver, not just the liver that you know and love, but a bigger concept of the liver, which is responsible for the free and easy flow of energy in the body and everything happening according to its proper timing. So our ability to wake up and go to sleep in a diurnal rhythm that's regular, our ability to have a regular and easy flow of food through our digestive tract and out of us, our ability to have smooth and easy menstrual cycles, and the ease in our nervous systems that allows us to move through life from a place of relative even-temperedness, equanimity, relaxation, and the ability to simply respond to the world appropriately as opposed to react from a place of tension or stress. So I wanted to talk about this today on the show because it is the end of spring. We're moving into summer here in Oregon. And I'm trying to do these periodic solo shows to do a bit more education about Chinese medicine and really make that come alive for you because it's one of my favorite things to teach. I do, of course, have my basics of Chinese medicine class that I offer if you want like the whole shebang all at once. But just to make it real and to hopefully help you see yourself in the medicine and understand how you can work with your own internal organs a bit better. So a lot of times, like when we're dealing with conditions involving the liver, one of the most important things we can do in order to help all of these systems function better is to change our relationship with stress. And one of the most important levers for that is changing our relationship with time. That's certainly been true for me in that I have a lot of wood energy in my constitution. And part of that means that I'm ambitious. I have a lot of drive. And the liver opens to the eyes. It has to do with the vision. It has to do with goals. It has to do with striving and all of that. And there's a lot that I want to do. And it's easy for me to put pressure on myself or really derive way too much of my sense of self from the yang, from the doing rather than the being. And so really kind of calling myself out on yang addiction and inviting myself to spend more time in the other elements other than the wood element has been a focus of mine lately because I had been dealing with more emotional reactivity and more emotional depression and suffering than I knew I wanted to be dealing with. Also having trouble falling asleep at night. And so I was like, all right, I really need to get a handle on this. I know better. And therefore it's time for me to be a little sweeter to myself and just actually address this instead of pretending that I only am valuable when I am doing more, because that's fundamentally not what I really believe. But it's sometimes how I act because it's an old pattern. It's an old pattern of habituation. It's my go-to in order to feel safe in the world. But the thing is that growth is not about feeling safe. It's actually kind of antithetical to feeling safe and comfortable, right? The growth is inherently a little edgy. It's a little uncomfortable. And so for me, growth looks like being willing to surrender the false identity of I am what I get done in a day, to a greater truth, which is that I am more than that. right? And that there is more to life than productivity. So one of the ways that I've been trying to get a handle on that and work with it in a practical way is by not treating my day like a stuff sack where I'm trying to cram in more and more things to accomplish, adding more things to my to-do list, having superhuman expectations of myself, because that, like in a stuff sack, feels rather compressed, rather tight, rather not a whole lot of room to breathe. And that is the surest way to whack out the liver chi, make it stagnate, to feel tight and compressed. And just take a moment and take that on in your body, right? Tight and compressed is necessarily, it's going to affect every system of the body, right? We're not going to be able to breathe well. We're not going to be able to digest well. Our neck and shoulders are going to get tight. We're not going to be able to drop into our lower bodies and feel grounded. There's going to be some stagnation. There's going to be muscular pain. There's going to be perhaps headaches or high blood pressure. It could do all sorts of damage in a given system. It could affect us all in different ways. So getting right with time, feeling like you have the space in your day to move with ease is absolutely critical if you want to potentially address wood element disharmonies. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it here on the show today. One of my favorite quotes from the Tao Te Ching, one that I've taken to heart for many, many years, but still need to remind myself of. Fill the bowl to the brim and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife and it will blunt. Chase after money and security and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back, the only path to serenity. So the first few lines of that quotation, fill the bowl to the brim and it will spill, keep sharpening your knife and it will blunt, speaks to this truth in Chinese medicine that yin and yang change into one another at the extremes. We see this in nature as the days get longer and longer until they reach their peak at the summer solstice, and then they start getting shorter and shorter and shorter. We see the exact same thing in the cycle of the day as we go from dawn to the day getting brighter and brighter till the peak of brightness, and then the waning into dusk and into darkness. So nothing in this world is exempt from the cycle of the pulsation of yin and yang. And to think that we are machines, right, that we're separate from nature and that we can just keep being in go mode all the time without ever surrendering to yin or without really backing off is to kind of deny, to set ourselves apart from this. And it's really not very kind to have superhuman expectations for ourselves. So recognizing that it is okay to act within the integrity of the energy that you currently have, that I currently have, going our own pace is super important in order for the liver to be able to unfold the energy in the body according to its proper timing, right? If we are trying to stuff sack our day full of things, we are compressing the nervous system. We are contracting into a state of stress, which is not where healing takes place. It turns out healing takes place in a state of relaxation. We need to be in rest and digest or rest and repair mode, parasympathetic nervous system, in order to, that's where we should be operating most of the time. So if we're living our lives from a state of pressure, things are going to go awry. So how to not treat your day like a stuff sack, you might wonder. Like, certainly everyone has responsibilities. We all want to show up and do our best. And really, I have a couple of things to say about this. So one thing is that in Chinese medicine, the element that reigns in the wood is metal. Metal has to do with discernment. And metal, if you can think about like just metal pruning the trees in your garden, pruning the bushes, pruning the plants, like deciding what is not important enough to grow, right? If you can't do it all, like we have to make some choices. We have to be willing to make some decisions. So getting really clear as to where do we want to put our precious life force in the course of a day. So to me, like it really helps to start the day with intention and clarity about what is going to get the juice today. What really needs my energy and attention today? Because it's not limitless. And so getting clear on what we can feel good about, like what do we want to accomplish or appreciate or pay attention to in the course of a day so that we can feel satisfied by our life. by the end of the day. I've been engaging in a bit of a thought experiment with myself, which I may have mentioned in the past on the show, that lately I have been trying to act with the attitude that I am only working like a 0.8 position instead of a 1.5 position that I usually expect myself to do. And just this attitude shift of like, I'm working almost full time. I have to get really clear about what is important for me to get done and what I can be comfortable with letting go until tomorrow, much as I would like it all to get done today. So I was talking about this attitude shift with a friend last weekend, friend Jason, who happens to be an acupuncturist as well. And just by saying that, like, this is what I'm focusing on, is just trying to work my habit of living with ease, which I do believe stress is a habit and that we can condition ourselves to live with ease with a few mental shifts. So I was explaining to him that just really trying to enjoy my life, trying to pull my attention out of sort of this work dimension and into the rest of my life, to broaden out from just that one spectrum of color to play with all the colors of the rainbow. And he said, I could really relate to that, Brodie. I ride my mountain bike and there's this loop that I can do. And when I am just like maxing out, when I have a goal to just do it as fast as possible and to really push myself and to go for like my most efficient time ever, I can do that loop in like 43 minutes. And on the days when I'm just out for a bike ride and I'm just taking in the scenery and enjoying and appreciating my beautiful surroundings and feeling the air on my face and looking at the sights and smelling the smells and just appreciating the whole ride, I can do the loop in 45 minutes. Like 43 minutes, busting ass, working really hard, effortfully, versus enjoying the journey and doing it in 2 extra minutes. That I felt like totally encapsulated how my life has been feeling these days with this attitude shift that I've made of the just pretending that I'm not a full-time employee of me. So I share that with you to encourage you to think about, what would it look like to feel like you could move through the responsibilities that you have with ease? What do you need to focus on in order to feel like you're in integrity with yourself? And one other question I'll put out there, because the wood element has to do with vision, both in a physical sense of connecting with the eyes, but also in a metaphorical sense of connecting with the vision that we have for our lives, is if you think about who you want to become in the next few months or in the next year or in the next phase of life, however long you want to determine that it to be, and think about how you want to show up in this next phase of life. Is this next phase going to be more about your physical body? Is it going to be more about wanting a calm mind? Is it about wanting to experience more joy? Is it about wanting to really work your self-discipline and get something difficult done? Is it about being more self-expressive? Is it about music? Is it about love? Is it about just whatever it is that thinking about the person you want to be, the aspects of yourself that you want to develop, and get a sense of that future self, get a sense of who this person is, this version of you that embodies these ideals. And then when you get a sense of that kind of future memory, consider what you could do today that would be like a favor to future you. Like, what is you of a few months out or a year out or 10 years out? What is he or she going to look back and go, hey, thanks, past self. I really appreciated that you started making these small shifts, because the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, right? And the next best time is now. So I encourage you to take action on what you've heard today, to just consider what small shift you could start making today. What is just the tiniest little difference? I want you to think super small. So if your goal is to enhance your meditation practice, make it a non-negotiable 1-minute practice per day. If your goal is to be more loving and kind and less reactive, practice in conversation when noticing when you feel triggered, and just give yourself credit for that at the end of the day. If your goal is to have more joy in your life, consider what brings you joy and commit to doing those things. Get them on your calendar and treat them like commitments that matter. That, like, the same way that you would treat a commitment to a friend or to a coworker or whoever else in your life matters to you, because you matter too. If you could use some support around staying in energy integrity, on living with ease, and on making the micro shifts that are going to take you into your future self, I still have a few openings for one-on-one coaching clients. Not exactly sure how long that offer is going to be on the table by the time this airs, but at the moment, I still do have a few spaces on my calendar for one-on-one coaching clients. And if you'd like to be one of them, head over to brodiewelch.com and go to the Work With Me page and fill out a quick questionnaire. And if the Chinese medicine aspect of this episode was intriguing to you, I'd love for you to know that I have a super deep dive course called The Basics of Chinese Medicine, which is a learn from anywhere, anytime course available at brodiewelch.com as well. So feel free to check that out. It will take you through the physical and psycho-emotional aspects of each of the organ systems and give you a sense of how to live in rhythm with your day and with the seasons, as well as teach you acupoints and things that can be in your toolbox of self-care from an Eastern medicine perspective. Happy transition from spring to summer, everyone, or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, from fall to winter. Information is really nothing unless we're taking action on it. So I really hope that you will take seriously the idea of creating a bit of ease in your nervous system, of not trying to force growth on your wood element by pushing the river. What could you do for your future self that she or he will thank you for? By way of hopefully inspiring you to take action, I want to share a success story that I had with a patient in clinic recently. This guy came in and said, "I just want to thank you so much for giving me my life back." He went on to explain what he meant by that. He said, "I'm off my high blood pressure medication. I'm off my anti-anxiety medication. I'm no longer drinking to go to sleep at night. It's like I go to bed and my eyes hit the pillow and I'm asleep in 10 minutes. And in the morning, I wake up and I have energy and I poop like clockwork instead of going, having days without going at all and then being on the toilet for hours. And I'm no longer snapping at people. Like my wife says, I'm much easier to get along with. And just overall, I just feel like a different person." And I just smiled and I was like, yeah, that's your liver. That is your liver doing its job, keeping you in rhythm, the cycles of day and night, the timing of elimination, and the evenness of mood, as well as keeping the energy from rising to the head and putting pressure, literally constricting the blood vessels. So this happened not only because he was getting acupuncture with me, but because we'd been working together for a few months and I'd been encouraging him to get back into doing the things he loved, like putting his hands in the dirt in the garden, like getting back to the gym a few times a week so that he could feel stronger and capable and move some of the stress chemistry that was accumulating. And this all happened in a period of just a few months. So I share this by way of hopefully inspiring you that daily actions on a regular basis really can lead to a different way of showing up in the world. And there's also nothing wrong with having support and guidance along the way. I so appreciate you tuning in today. I wish you ease in your nervous system and alignment with the flow of life itself. Thanks for listening today. For more episodes of A Healthy Curiosity, you can visit the iTunes store. If you appreciated today's show, please leave us a review. This helps other people to find the podcast. You could also head to brodiewelch.com, where you can find free self-care resources, learn more about Chinese medicine, and let me know what you'd like to hear about on future episodes. I'd love to hear from you. Till next time, be good to yourself.